So the Building Facilities Construction Committee meeting of Wednesday, August 10th is in order. Call to order at 4:05 p.m. The first item on the agenda, and the reason why I'm opening the meeting, is the reorganization of the board. Are there any nominations for chair?
I nominate Shirley McCliskey as chair.
Second. Third.
While it would seem like a fait accompli, I'll put the motion, or actually the nomination, to the vote. There's only one nomination for Shirley Mazinski to be chair. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Madam Chair, it is your meeting.
Thank you. We also need to have a vice chair, and do I hear nominations for vice chair?
I nominate Linda Brown for vice chair. Second.
Nomination for Linda Brown for vice chair. Any further nominations? If not, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, everybody. First thing on the agenda is we're meeting at the fire department, because that's what we need to focus on at this meeting. And although we have other items on the agenda, unless anybody objects, to focus on the fire department, and we are here, and if no one objects, we are going to be doing a tour. Any comments, any suggestions? And I don't know if anybody is available from the department to take us on the tour, but
I will check for you, and if not, I will go get Adam. He knows this building as well as anyone.
and then we are going to move over to the highway department to view their status too.
I pointed to that and said Exhibit A.
Hey, you made it back.
I did.
Thank you, Ken.
Boy.
We're good. We're ready to check out the facility,
All right,
or the town's facility, I should
okay.
say.
Where would you like to start?
Wherever.
This is the meeting room.
Yes, yes.
It's slowly growing, and now we have a couple of desks over there. Since the floor's sort of in disarray, and we're really not holding classes here outside of training, but other times we have the fire academy, and we might host a class, but until we get this really resolved, we want to. So this is the training room. This is our facility as far as the kitchen goes.
Before we do all that,
Yep.
we also have to talk about what we're looking at. So, one of the sources of conversation is the floor itself.
Yep.
So there are different opinions. I'll tell you what my opinion is. All this material coming up through the floor is the result of a moisture leak from the heater unit against the doorway, and is a very slow leak. And I think it has gradually permeated out and is now coming up through the mastic and up through the joints in between the tiles.
That was hot water.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guys pretty much wash this with bleach ever since COVID, just about every day, but it was been like this. We had it, it's sort of, you know, every once in a while we'll have it stripped and waxed and whatnot and sealed, but it doesn't really make sense to do that now until it's actually complete. AC units, these are the AC units that we have. We have one in here, we have a couple in the rooms upstairs. Because it's hotter up there, one of the bunk rooms, which is not originally what it was meant to be, but it's right above the oil burner, so it gets really hot up there. So
There is no air blowing on this window, but the shade is moving. And that is because this window doesn't really fit this space. And
very cold in here in the wintertime. Some of the guys actually wear feet warmers in the wintertime. It gets that cold on the floor, so with a cement block building. But They just recently painted in here and started redecorating. We got some of the older communications stuff from like who knows when, but they're ancient. And then some of the trophies. And then Chief Gagne, when he was here, he had a wall patch collection. What we're gonna do is put the patches all around the rim at the top. So we'll show all the different fire departments from around the state and from wherever. We've got some from Spain and stuff like that too. So. But this is pretty much the meeting room that we have where we do classes and whatnot.
One of the things we are addressing in this building is its electrical hookups. So we're going to be adding additional fixtures and whatnot, but you'll notice,
Yeah.
right, so we have 2 power strips over there, we have 1 over here. There's insufficient receptacles in the building for all of the power that we need. This building was built for a call fire department, not a full-time fire department. So we're doing a lot of stuff in here, charging equipment, charging phones, charging radios, a whole bunch of things that weren't contemplated when the building was built, which is why we're going through a full electrical upgrade in this existing building. When we talk about building needs, just be mindful that we're spending a fair amount of money on this facility.
You have a bank, there's a charger over here, but it's for a couple of banks of radios. There's also meters, our batteries that run the jaws of life, those have to be charged. We can charge them on the truck, and we can also charge them here as well. So again, just a lot of stuff that 20 years ago or 22 years ago when the place wasn't built, that technology didn't even exist. So it's a little bit of a stretch, but that's where we have as far as that goes. You want to move this way? Actually, we can go this way. I'll show you the admin's office.
So the process of having this floor fixed hasn't been started?
Correct.
Careful of the fan, they're just trying to move some air around. When this station was originally built, this was like you can see there's a dispatch console over there in the end. So we can actually tone out calls from here as well. But this used to be like a meeting room, like a ready room. We'd congregate after calls and tell war stories and make fun of each other and stuff like that. When I became chief, the old chief was upstairs. I moved down here. I wanted to be more interactive with the staff and whatnot. I was here for a while, but then all of a sudden, everybody would come in, and I was getting all the time like interrupted, trying to do stuff. And Lisa Freeman, when she was here, she wanted to move out here, so we just did a switch. That was originally the chief's office years ago, but up here we have an antiquated camera system. It shows it's since broken. I think it was Homeland Security money like 20 years ago, 18 years ago. So we're going to try to upgrade that stuff eventually. With the fact that we have narcotics in the building on the ambulances, we need to have better tracking of that type stuff. Eventually, we like to see, you know, anybody that comes in has to swipe and you can tell who's been in and out of the building, but also have cameras as well.
And currently you don't?
Currently, we do not. That camera just sort of stopped working.
It's ancient.
Yeah, it is. It's ancient. It might have been ancient when we got it. I don't even remember. But I think Chief Gagne got it on a grant for, you know, Homeland Security, and at the time it made sense. And but it was very limited what we could have. Like, it doesn't cover all the doors in the room, so you know, if someone wanted to break, you just got to know where one camera is and come in that door, so you don't not be seen.
That gap under that door, that goes right to the outside.
That goes right to the outside.
Wow, it's like an inch.
Goes right to the outside. You'll see we have a makeshift AC unit in here as well. This is what we've had to do in order to just make it comfortable. So these are the 2 restrooms right here. It's pretty self-explanatory. We tried to dress things up with. We tried to dress things up. We do have showers.
Okay.
Tried to dress things up with some of the work the guys do, and when they're on calls and whatnot. A little bit of pride. This office, myself and Chief Manning actually share. It's a little cluttered right now, but a lot of the stuff is just really no place to put it. far as storage
Just
goes.
moving out of the way so we can
Yep.
get in.
Obviously, we've got the little AC unit. So, yeah, so we've got some filing cabinets we want to move. Hopefully, this is a lot of older records, payroll records. We probably want to, at some point, move up to the other building in town hall. I've got some records here for the district fire chiefs. Some gear that seasonal that I don't have in my car right now, but will go in my car
Sure.
for other parts of the year. But that's really about it. These are the 2 desks we have.
Okay. What is that?
This is just a locker. I keep stuff here when we have station coverage during storms. I make sure I have some stuff as far as that stuff goes.
You skipped a spot.
What's that?
You skipped a spot.
Oh, yeah, okay. You're right. Now that you mention it. I skipped the radios. This is our radio system. Very antiquated. That's our new band that we're going to be going on it at some point. But this automatically shuts off on its own sometimes. So hopefully our radio system will be up and running soon. We hope, for
Is
sure.
that ventilated at all?
No.
Oh,
At one point, we had a fan in there. It's actually the newer IT people, Dave Renaglia and Tony.
Yeah.
They've actually brought this years ahead. I mean, they've put a lot of what are those? The
Backup power units.
backup power units. But also, when we got struck by lightning, they had put something in very recently that made it so that it protected our radios to some extent.
Surge suppressor.
Yeah.
Yep. So it actually saved our radios.
But when we talk about building needs, if you were going to build something new, this would never pass anyone's idea of code. So it needs to be properly ventilated, maintains a constant temperature. All the electrical grounding has to be done. A lot of this equipment is located in proximity to other things that it shouldn't be this close to, et cetera, et cetera. But this is what the chief and his crew make work here.
And so the other thing was, although we were struck by lightning that day, we still did lose our radio system. So we actually ran a fire. I ran it off my cell phone. That was our radio communications. I was on the phone with Matt going, I'm afraid we're going to get a fire. And it was no sooner out of my mouth. And he was on the phone. I go, yeah, we got a fire. So
Good cell
just,
service.
I know my gut tells me certain things. So again, restrooms, each one of them have a shower. Here's where we come out into the apparatus bay. Before we go down there, this is where we keep a lot of our brooms and stuff. All the firefighters turn out here. This is our boiler room. At one point, some of the cable was in here, but again, this place gets so hot
Yep.
that you just can't have radio stuff in here, and that's where it was originally. We did have this thing has been an albatross since day one. We eventually had to put in here a hot water heater because this would run all the time, just trying to keep the water by.
When was this built? When was this put in?
2000, 99, 2000 was when it was dedicated.
So,
They
this
could have done better
is,
then.
This is a washer and dryer that we got when COVID started,
Yep.
so we could wash our clothes and turn in our regular uniforms, so that we would have access to. And the other thing is, you go on a buddy call or something like that, you want to be able to come back and hopefully you have another uniform, but you can get. If you go to a fire in weather like this, you're going to be sweating when you come back. You want a dry uniform and wash it, and there you go. We keep a lot of our floor cleaners in here and whatnot. Over on the back wall there, that's the transfer switch for the generator. We lost the generator when it got struck by lightning, got fried. It took probably 6 or 8 months to get it back up and running again. It is running. Matter of fact, we just had them out to check it because the battery died on it. But it's back up and running, and it tests itself once a week, runs for a half an hour once a week, so we know that it's working, and there are alarms that tell us if it's not working. It's way undersized, and that's another project we have, is to try to bring that up to support a public safety facility, because we have people here 24 hours a day, and you know, we're supporting an operation. What happened was it's undersized, and we had to have the about 12 years ago we had an exhaust system put in to exhaust all the carbon monoxide, because it's hazardous to the firefighters. It causes cancer. So we had that installed, and what was happening was that the generator was undersized. So if that was running during a power outage, like during a hurricane or something, and we'd go to leave, the doors would raise up. We'd raise the doors up, and it would fry the capacitor in the exhaust system. So it took us a while to finally get that diagnosed, and we had money on the town meeting this past fall, I think, to get that rectified. So that was down for a while too. So we had an air quality issue. We had air quality tests, and we spiked everything. Like
The project that Howard is speccing out now is the replacement of the electrical components of the building, including the standby generator. Again, for the committee's reference, when we have, whether it's one building or 3 buildings, in order for your public safety functions to work, they need to have a standby generator that is emergency operations compliant. So it doesn't just need to turn the lights on, or the heat, or the water pump, or whatever else. It needs to power the emergency exit lights. It needs to handle all of the safety equipment. It needs to have enough power to handle the overhead doors that have to raise to let the equipment out of the building, which is not the case. Right now we have a 30 kilowatt generator for this entire building. Each coil on the top of an electric stove is 6, right? So if you turn on all 4, you would use up almost the entire capacity of the generator. So the room you're standing in also is indicative of some of the issues. This is an inefficient commercial furnace. Look at the different sizes and shapes of the spaces it needs to heat. There's really, I've counted, I think there's only one really zone control that I can see, maybe 2. But there's not a lot of control here, so when you walk through the bays, you'll notice the workaround that was installed by SOSHA when they put this heating system in. I won't give you any spoilers, but just think about the geometry of what was installed. Probably shouldn't have said the name of the company. Strike that. The oil company that did the install. Well, it's a public record.
Well, he did what the town asked for.
But that's exactly
at
it.
the time. So
The other thing that the chief needs to speak to is this the right place for all this stuff to be in a building? So no.
So this makes the space obviously.
A trip zone.
You know, a trip zone, but obviously, you know, if guys are here, now I come out and we get a call. I'm in my office. I come out and this guy's getting dressed. So that's a problem. And you know, we'll follow that theme.
But these each have a specific amount of square footage for each firefighter for their gear, and that we are not even close to what that would be.
And again, you've got some gear where guys don't even have a place to put it in the rack. Through Branch, we've been able to get every firefighter, all our call guys, and all our full-time members a second set of turnout gear, so that when they get back from a fire, they can launder that gear and still have gear that they can go to the next fire. That's been a few years we've been able to do that.
When we talk about speccing out a building like this, we save money having a call fire department because we're not paying the salary and benefits of full-time staffers. But this is one of the things that doesn't change. When they come to the station to respond to a call, they need to be able to get to their gear and have adequate space to change into it. So if you have 24 people total, including the full-time and part-time, you need 24 of these bays properly located in the building.
That's a part of history that we've taken from the 1800s. It's gone with us wherever we go. The motto is actually painted on our trucks, and the guys take a lot of pride. The Fire King was the original hand pumper they had years ago, so we've taken that, the tradition of the fire department with us. So
But here's your visual. Fred,
Here's your
you're a
visual
smart guy,
for-
Fred.
this is the exhaust
What
system.
might be wrong with the way this is set up?
So each bay has a fan that blows heat down with different temperature gauges. So there's a temperature gauge over behind that gear there. There's two temperature gauges down over there. There's one or two over there and one on that wall, and then you got two bays on the end. All have a separate temperature gauge.
Gauges are at the bottom. The heat source is at the top with a single return and shut off. So you're blowing warm air down into the colder, denser air down below it, hoping that you trip the temperature controls so that they'll turn off. And what actually happens, Chief? You turn it on, it never shuts off.
And again, we still have the problem that you're always trying to heat hot water. I come in here at 80 degrees. It's 80 degrees out and the thing's running, which is why we actually went with the propane water heater. So that's only been the last couple of years. I think we polished that off a year ago to get that. All right, what else? If you want to see the area of the bays, this is about the least width I would want in a station where you have trucks so you can actually get by. In the wintertime, sometimes you got to jack these trucks up and put chains on them for the bad winter. So again, you got to have a way to move around and whatnot. Let's see. Our two ambulances. I could give a whole capital lecture here too, but I'm going to skip that.
That's big of you, Chief. You gotta go upstairs though too, eventually.
Yep.
We will.
So this is basically our tool room. It's a catch-all. This was a wall they put up a while ago to separate our medical equipment from our mechanical equipment. So I will go over here.
Where's the wall?
That wooden. That.
All right, so again, all our tools, where we keep all our flammables, our oils and stuff like that. Again, all kinds of fire stuff, equipment that we need. Not always all the time, but seasonal. We got some pumps and stuff. That's a hose tester. Come back around here. About 3 or 4 years ago, we got a gear extractor. You probably remember that on the town meeting. We had to add another electrical box here for that. In the other room, there's an extractor, which is, it washes the gear, our turnout gear, and all the carcinogens out of the gear. And then we can dry it in here. This is a gear dryer. The other thing we can do is dry hose with it. So we keep the longevity of our hose, we extend by drying it. It's not mildewy and it's not going to damp and rot. So we dry our hose there as well. This is all dive gear and hazmat gear.
Again, because I'm trying to keep us on that mission, this is special use gear stored in the general area. This needs to be in its own place in an ideal setting, so that you can find it, nothing will be in your way.
Yeah, that's hazardous material gear for toxic atmospheres where a person would be decontaminated if they were exposed to something really bad. Over here we got a bunch of stuff that's all dive gear. This is where we keep all our medical supplies. As you can see, we actually got a lot of stuff over COVID.
Right.
We got plenty of masks. These are all masks and face shields that we were able to acquire through emergency management.
Yep.
But all of our advanced life support IV stuff, our cardiac monitors, you don't see those here because we don't have spares of those, but again, the EMS coordinator does a very good job. We also have hazmat material. If we have stuff that's, you know, on an ambulance that we dispose of, we have a company that comes in and gets that stuff. So and that's that. This is, again, one of another battery that we have to charge. This is for the Lucas machine. It actually does CPR on a person, it does the compressions. This one's charging, it's one on each ambulance. This one is charging so that if they do a call today where they have to do that, they can switch right out into a new one. We also have those for the stretchers, they're automatic stretchers now to prevent back injuries.
Yep.
This is the bunk room, one of the bunk rooms. This was originally like a place where the firefighters, I remember I slept here on 9/11, the night after the trade towers. There was a big couch here and some of us just stayed in that because we didn't have full-time people around the clock back then. This is where we get guys, hopefully we give them a break, get a chance to get out and recoup and rest, depending on the calls. It's actually pretty nice in here, but they probably have at least 2 AC units going.
How was it yesterday?
It gets pretty nice up here, but again, it's all makeshift stuff, it's not.
Yeah.
I had actually discovered one time, I came up and you got to make sure that people aren't plugging things into power strips.
Yeah.
Because people just, you know, oh, let's plug it in here. No, you can't do that. That's a fire hazard.
That's right.
So,
Overload.
again, this building is not sprinklered. I think it's because it's below 7,500 square feet. 7,500 square feet triggers a sprinkler for buildings by the building code. Today, if you were to build this, you would have to sprinkle it. I mean, you have $2-3 million, probably $4 million worth of assets here that if you lost them, you got to try to replace that. When a sprinkler can actually keep a fire in check and oftentimes just put it completely out. So that's one of the other things that we lack here as far as that goes. And the guys did all the painting here themselves. They've taken pride in redecorated over the years as things wear.
And that's it for the upstairs?
Oh, there's one on the other side. I'm going to take you over there
Okay.
next.
So where was, I remember when I did the tour before, it was like a physical therapy or a place where they could exercise.
The gym, yep, I'll show
Yeah.
you that.
All right.
What's the?
That's still in place.
just swing
then,
that.
huh? Or has that
Yes,
changed?
yes. It is, but it's this time of year. It's very difficult to work out up there
Oh,
with the
I'm
heat.
sure. I'm sure.
And we've done it, but it's not pleasant. So this is an example of the exhaust system that gets rid of the carbon monoxide. It exhausts it right outside. This, when they built it, that was a fan system that would open those louvers up, and that's how they got the gas, the carbon monoxide out. But guess what? In the middle of winter, what happens? That opens, all your heat goes out too. So.
Okay. We're coming.
Yep.
Some of us got way late.
Yep. So the guys did a real good job in the past couple weeks. This is the gym area. But we were able to, somebody donated the file cabinets, so now we have all of our building plans. That just got done within the last week. So all our building plans are there. But again, it's cramped quarters for that type of stuff. We've got stuff over here too that we need to get in cabinets and get out of here as well. Some of it's old photos and stuff like that. There's a lot of history in some of those boxes with pictures and stuff. Yeah, so this is where the guys work out. As you can see, you can't go too far over there because you got the slant of the roof.
No overhead presses in that end of the gym.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, one of the amazing things about this is that when Kelly comes up here, she uses all the machines at once.
Yeah.
And there's not enough weight for her.
Yeah, exactly. And she's usually running a marathon at the same time. So this is the bunk
This is an
room.
amenity we provide to public safety, and we have a number of fitness incentives in the collective bargaining agreements. So again, thinking towards either one building, two buildings, three buildings, there has to be space for this to take place.
Yeah.
Sure. And this is the one kind of space that can be consolidated in a single building for all the employees to use, as opposed to having three different locations. Just to be mindful of that.
So this is the last
There's not a
room.
single inch of the place that doesn't have something on it.
In here.
And the whole
It's
building,
like a maze.
the whole building.
That's why.
I'm getting ready to see highway.
I'm not.
This is pretty much where the officers stay. The lieutenant of the shift stays in here. Usually there's, or if we have male and female, we try to keep them separated, obviously. If they're on a 24-hour shift, females are on one side, males are on the other. But again, got to think of that in the future too, as far as spaces for that. So Tony does a good job of keeping track of all our training and EMS training and records. That stuff's all up here. We have another desk where people can work and study. But again, you have an issue with water pipes, and you get up in the middle of the night real quick to go to a call, you might knock yourself out if you're not careful. All this, again, when we went full-time round the clock, we actually bought the beds. We had old bunk beds at one point, wooden old bunk beds.
And again, there's an NFPA standard for the amount of space that a resting firefighter should have. And I don't think this room makes it, the other ones are.
And it's only going to grow. You're only going to add more staff throughout the years as the call volume increases. So you're going to sort of look down the road and try to forecast. I remember, I'm pretty sure, I remember Cheif Vinson going, oh, this station will have cover us for 50 years. It was a nice thought, but I mean, when I started here in August of 2000, I think, full time, the chief started a week, 2 weeks before me, and again, we didn't have anything. I was just telling them over there. We stayed here at 9/11 when we watched the towers come down, but we stayed on the other side. But the station was brand new back then. And the more help we have, the more firefighters we have, the more wear and tear is seen. I've seen it really, the wear and tear, just being people here around the clock. And the floor downstairs, I didn't even really point that out, but we try to paint lines so that when the guys are coming in, you can actually line up the truck with the line and then just sort of back
If
straight
you're
in.
$1 million piece of fire that you don't want to hit anything with.
And I spent my fair amount of money repairing doors and having doors come down and people hitting doors. So it is what it is. But, I think it's probably because, you know, they're in a hurry to go somewhere and, you know, you're just rushing around. So you miss some things sometimes. But the floor, the weight of the trucks peels the paint right up. So we got to figure out something where we can have a different type of floor that's a little bit more anti-slip, maybe, I don't know, something that has some grit, or I've seen like there's little flakes of stuff that they paint like it's like a rubber coating or a plastic coating, and it's easier to mop and keep, and you can paint it and be able to get your trucks in. I think so, yeah, exactly.
Unless it's been upgraded, which it probably has, but.
It's never been upgraded, it's been painted.
No, I mean that type of paint, because I have used that in an area on some steps, not in town, my cabin, because it was very slippery outside.
Yes.
And it didn't last.
It's like, I remember when you paint your cellar floor, but I think we're talking like more of an epoxy that has a little bit of grab to it.
Yeah, well, this was an epoxy.
Harrisville had a floor I liked in their station, and if I could show you the back of one of the ambulances, the floor, like in the back of the ambulances, is non-slip. It's almost like a rubber. So I'll show you what that looks like, but it's one of those things where we'll get there, but it's not going to happen right away.
In my dog daycares have the same problems with floors because the dogs are really hard. I got a quote again with epoxy floor, 2-part process.
They're not cheap.
Tens of thousands.
Yeah, exactly. They're not cheap.
Literally tens of thousands.
Everyone says that. You know, at the time, I think the town was very concerned about liability. There have been firefighters who fell down the pole and been killed. So, but you know, a lot of fire departments still put them in as a tradition. You know.
Sure. Yeah, they don't want to let it go.
No, exactly. And they don't call it 200 years of progress, but 200 years of tradition unimpeded by progress.
Yeah.
So this room here is basically a lot of our gear and stuff. This is the extractor that we got a couple of years ago from Capitol. It launders firefighter gear. It's very sturdy, and you can flush that bad stuff right out.
Yeah.
Basically, it's very organized now. It tends to get messy from time to time. But basically our janitorial supplies. We also have, during the beginning of COVID, we bought the sprayer.
Yeah.
So that we could decontaminate the back of the ambulances and things like that. So this is where a lot of that stuff is kept. If you look underneath your feet, you can basically see what I'm talking about as far as the floor goes.
Yeah.
And if you walk around the front, notice we try to paint a red line there, but it's in need of being a bit. And then we also have a line here where you should stop with the corner of the truck, so guys can pretty much guide themselves.
Sure.
But the floor, again, it needs some work. I can't tell you how many times this has been painted over the last 22 years, but the black will come right up. You pull all the trucks out, paint all the floors, and within a couple of months it's all coming back.
Now, something like a wash bay, do you have like a wash bay to wash the truck, or you just do it outside?
This time of year, we do it outside. During the winter, we do it in here. And we've got a hose and we'll wash the trucks down. But we got a 5,000 gallon tank and we have to have empty with gray water. So I think I told you, some of the trucks sprung leaks without us knowing about it. And then it filled up the water tank and we're like, okay, what's going on? That truck on the end, a big pipe rotted. So this is the type 4 I was telling you about. It's a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of slippery.
Yeah, that one's maybe a little bit, but
Yeah.
I was thinking a little bit more rubbery, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, there's something.
Yeah. Yeah.
that's it. I can't think of anything else. How about you, Matt? Mr. Administrator.
No, I don't want to keep Adam waiting too long. It is 10:05,
Yeah.
so we can go over and look at the highway. It's a pretty quick tour compared to this.
Any questions, guys?
And we are doing the lights in here too. We just replaced all the lights.
Look at all the LED.
We just haven't done these lights yet. It's a little bit harder to get up though to those.
Installation starts when?
Is it the 23rd?
23rd?
23rd? Yeah, there's nothing above, you go in the room there, the meeting room, there's nothing above that ceiling as far as insulation goes. That's why, part of the reason it's so cold in there in the wintertime.
So it seems to me it would take somebody a long time to know and remember where everything is. Is that a public safety issue? It's like, where is the whatever? Oh, Larry knows where he stashed that in that whatever closet.
Well, the guys, every day when they start shift, they have to pull the trucks out and they have to do a truck check. They have to check all the SCBA balls, make sure that the air supplies are good. And they go over, they check all the warning lights and things like that. And they start all the saws and things like that. So repeated exercise of doing that over and over again with the trucks. And myself, I've been here 22, 23 years. So I probably have, besides myself and John, probably the most history with knowing this facility. But guys start, and we're good about making sure they're exercising all the equipment. Again, you've got a lot of stuff that has saws and fuels and things like that, so you got to be checking the fuels, make sure they're going to start. You know, if fuel sits around, what happens? You know, it gunks up the carburetors and they won't start when you need it. So.
I do have a question. So this site, what would you say is an advantage to this site versus a disadvantage where this station is?
The advantage to this site, the advantage to this area is I think we're pretty much centrally located. So outside of maybe going out to High Street, way down off of, almost into Thompson, we have couple of roads up there. Hilltop Drive has some streets off of it. That's probably the furthest out. But as far as locally, I think we're pretty much centrally located here. So I think that is a benefit. I can't really think of any drawbacks here. You know, we're visible. People know where we are. We have a lot of people that might be having a medical emergency and start on the way to the hospital and pull in here and say, I can't, you know, I'm having an issue. And we'll normally say, oh, you know, you shouldn't be driving. But yeah, so people know where we are, and I think we're pretty much centrally located.
So, members, just keep in mind what you've seen and maybe jot down if you have any questions that we can send back and get answers to, so we can move on over to the highway. But thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Thanks again.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
So you want to walk inside?
Oh,
So
yeah.
obviously this trail is here for a reason. We have John's old office is now my office. My office was in the corner. John and Mary Beth moved out here, and then I ended up moving into John's office to get out of the garage itself. So we'll walk in and take a look.
There were some health concerns.
Yes,
as far
some
as-
health concerns. Yeah, they did a air quality study and came up with some things. So that was one of the pushing reasons for this. You know, driving reasons.
So what's in there, 2 offices?
Yeah, just John's and Mary Beth's. Yep.
Okay.
So, but basically, this is a rent deal.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
$1,200 a month.
Yep.
1,200 a month, okay?
Yeah, this old machine. This thing here came from the mill probably many years.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful. No, not anymore. I won't let the guys use it. They're belt driven. It's no safeties on it, you know. But it's still here. It's a nice piece. So obviously this fan is here for a reason, also same reason. So in the morning the guys start up the trucks, we try to get them out the door, put the fan in place, blow. We have an exhaust fan, so we push it right through the building, try to get rid of some of the exhaust. You see our trucks right now, none of the trucks have, except for one, have sanders on them. In the wintertime, this is a lot tighter. These trucks can only fit down on the bottom half of this garage because they're smaller. They can fit out back, I'm sorry, the big trucks out back can't fit down here. They're made differently, they're just bigger now, that's how they work. So these trucks are the last ones that can remain down here, and the big trucks out back can't come down here. They'll rub all the beams and we'll have destruction. Back in the day, they cut all the bolts that used to go through the beams so they could get the trucks in here. So they cut them all off flush, so that way the trucks would fit. These trucks would fit, and then we've cut all the headboards and lowered them, so that way we don't catch on our way in and out. So you see that. So that's what basically this is our heat for the garage. Is one thing. It comes off the boiler in that room back there. We have storage, sign storage over there. Supplies here. You'll see stuff unfortunately all over the place because that's where there's no room for it. So
when you say supplies here, you mean in?
Yeah, this green cabinets, these 3 green cabinets on the wall and the racks on these cabinets here.
Yeah.
You'll see just stuff, like I said, we try to organize it the best we can, but there's just no real one place for it, you know. And here's my office. This stuff is, this table and chairs, this all actually came with the trailer. This is not the town's. We kind of made a little break room out of it. So because we had to take it out of there so they could have offices, so this came with the trailer, so we're just using this for now, and the guys have break. This is my desk in here. This is probably the cleanest part of the building. So I think that's it in here. So we can go back out and walk around. It's easier.
So there's no air in here at all?
No. There's just a little window unit. That's probably, I have right there. That's it. Yeah, that's the only one.
Yeah, I think I.
One little window unit. So.
One of the life lessons I learned working in a barn that wasn't this crowded was it looks this way when you're on your 2 feet and you're moving around and is normal. But you have to imagine yourself hurt. You've taken a header back there somewhere. Now somebody has to get to you or you have to get out. And the perspective that you need to have on a building like this, where all this stuff is stored, is what do we do if somebody gets hurt?
Yeah.
It's very troublesome. The other thing about the needs assessment, you'll notice that this department of all the 3 departments, when you look at what you're supposed to have versus what you have now, there's an explosive difference between what a highway barn would look like if this equipment is properly stored versus the way it's stored now. So you'll see that really large square footage increase is just a necessity for being able, there's supposed to be how much by OSHA, how much room around the outside?
Yeah, you should be able to walk around like 6 feet and walk around the vehicle, do an inspection. Our guys can't do that. It's very tight for them. Even when we service vehicles, we pull a lot of vehicles out to work on one all the time, and that's just what we have to do. We have vehicles that are stored outside, which is awful. I mean, our equipment outside ages so fast, and we go to Capital and Shirley, we're always asking. Our backhoe's, a 2014, and we're already looking for a new one this year because it's starting to fall apart already. It's just what happens. If it was stored inside, it would last years longer. So.
The other thing is, anybody have a little game on their phone?
Oh no.
What's the problem with this room?
Oh, that.
If this doesn't move,
none of these move.
nobody moves.
Exactly. Correct. Yep.
I do want them to see the break rooms. I actually want them to see what the guys.
This was the original break room. So this down here will come down here.
Uneven floors.
So this room here was our original break room. There was a table here. This is the only place we could have, before John moved, this was our break room. It's the boiler room, this is it. So this is where the guys have dinner, this is where, so this is where the guys had dinner, this is where we had to be together. The boiler runs all winter long, and you're in here with the same, this boiler running. And again, like I said, this is when John moved, we all shifted to get away from this. So, but yeah, this was our break room. This is where we, like I said, had dinner and spent all the nights plowing and sanding. This was our room, so.
Does that heat the hot water too?
Yes, the heat, hot water, yeah.
Kept you close to each other.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, that's it, that's how it works. To the right is the restroom. I guess it's self-explanatory if you want to look at it. I'm not really gonna say much. You just don't restroom, it's not a restroom, so, yeah,
That's all you have to say.
that's all I have to say. There's
Pretty
no,
big.
yeah, there's a big, yeah. There's no real shower for the guys, they can't,
Oh my
you know.
goodness.
So that's all we have. This is our locker
See
room.
the shower?
Yeah, this is our locker room, these lockers, that's all we have. So the guys each get a locker and we make it work this way. There's no, other way, the same thing, we have a paint cabinet here, we have a flammable storage cabinet there. That cabinet really is supposed to be vented outside, it's not. It's supposed to be vented so, you know, it builds up anything. Yeah, so this is the back of a sander, so off of every truck, in the wintertime, you have this sticking off the back. So that's why it looks like it's not that crowded. I mean, for us, we feel it's not that crowded. But once you put all these on in the wintertime, you can't move in here. We have to take trucks out in order to walk around them. Our plows stay in here. We used to leave a couple of these plows outside. Someone stole the headlights off them, so now they can't be outside. So now they have to be inside. So those are all lined up here, so those plows stay in year round.
Speaking of, do you have any security cameras?
No
or
cameras,
anything?
no anything, no. We have a fire alarm system, which was only put in probably 7 or 8 years ago. So, back here we have, this is our parts room. This is where we try to keep all our parts when we have to repair vehicles, sanders, hoses.
Yep.
This is where all our chemicals are stored. So oils, all we have is basically hydraulic oil and motor oil. Our tool crib, we have tools that we try to hang on the wall. We have on the wall. Again, we just have storage everywhere. If we have to use our workbench, these 2 vehicles have to go outside. There's no way to use it. That's our workbench. So in order to work on anything, we take these 2 out. The truck that's getting worked on gets pulled in here, and then we work on it. We can.
From the street, it looks like
Yeah.
it's not.
In terms of aging, these equipment, these are the equipment, hydraulic, those don't let go of
Oh yeah, yeah. So, yeah, exactly. So one of the things we want to do is we want to fill these in. So the insurance company had us cap these floor drains. So that way it was an insurance risk. It came up last year. They asked us to cap them, so we capped them. Now what we want to do is cement them. We want to take these metal things out. We used to drain, of course, drain the floor. They want it to run outside. They don't want it to run into that and then run outside. They want it all capped. So we're going to cement these in this year. That's one of the projects on the list. So in the wintertime, when the sander is on that truck, this loader, the back of it almost touches the door. You have about 3 inches that you can get it in. And that bucket has to curl under the sander in order to make it. So if you ever see any pictures, we have pictures from last year when we presented this to Capitol that I can show you that had the sanders on it. So again, same thing. We have a mechanic's lift there, but in order to get to that, this truck has to come out, the snow blower has to come out, and the equipment there has to come out so we can use that lift. Our toolboxes are up to the front. And like I said, we have 2 other trucks over there, and in the wintertime, those 2 trucks have to park at angles, different funny angles, so that way we can get both trucks inside the garage doors. Our lawnmowers, we have this here, and we use a Connex box outside, and we put the lawnmowers in there too. So we have both spots so we can get all the lawnmowers inside. And
I do have to tell you, if you're ever sitting home alone on a rainy night and you want to get some laughs, you should watch the video of one of these snow blowers chewing up it was a Yugo?
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Car and spitting it out.
Oh, yeah.
So don't get
yeah.
your car in front of a
It's
snow
dangerous. They work great, but they definitely are dangerous.
Where do they use that?
Oh, parking
Yeah,
lots.
we have equipment.
Yeah. Clear sidewalk where we fit.
So, yeah, so again, welders, all our equipment, we just have to keep here until we need it, and then we can pull it all out. So it is a big undertaking to work on anything.
Yeah.
And again, these trucks will not fit down the front, so it's not like we can flip them. So if we have to work on something that's gonna stay in a bay, say it's one of those trucks, one of these has to stay outside. There's just nothing we can do with it. And then this loft right here, I mean, this is homemade. So it's got tires, it's got all this weight up on there too that we just don't have room for it. We have the Connex box that we fill with all our other stuff. Actually, yeah, that's
I knew you were strong, Adam. I didn't know you were.
no, that's a truck. So that we had a container sitting in front of this truck here, just like that one, and the truck pulled in and we were edging it in, well, one of the guys hit one of the containers and folded it. That's why that, if you see the baseball that's hanging from the ceiling now, so he hits the
Oh, yeah.
baseball, hits
Yeah.
there and stops.
Yeah.
So that's exactly
There's
what.
no room in front of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's it, there's nothing, there's no room there, but if you don't do that, the loader can't come in.
I did that in my garage.
Yeah, it works. It works, they haven't hit anything since, so we're happy about that.
I have seen that, yeah, in
Yeah.
garages, yeah.
I did it.
But again, and like I said, in order to use this lift, we have to pull all this out in order to use it. It's just a storage nightmare.
Well, there's no dedicated place to work on vehicles. It's kind of like.
Wherever they are, yeah, wherever we can, yeah, wherever we can get it, so. Again, we have a salt shed that, it needs repair. We have an old barn that came with the house, when they purchased it, I'm assuming from Buxton's, that was part of that. That old barn's falling, starting to fall in a little bit. We just repaired the stairs. We keep just sawhorses and some minimal stuff up there. Most of our cones and our barrels we keep in that trailer there. They're all stacked up in there. So if we need something, we have to go out there and grab stuff. It's everywhere. So we have a mix of everything. Our sanders are on the rack right there, so we keep them outside the building here. Yeah, this is basically it. I mean, we have mice all the time, and we put out
too.
traps. Yeah, everywhere. Yeah, it's just been a bad year for it.
It
It
has,
is. Yeah.
yes.
So all year round, we've been catching mice. All our plows sit outside, unfortunately.
You
Which,
need a highway cat.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Not with the way these trucks are. These guys may run it over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Red
But yeah,
take care of
but yeah, that's basically it. Our backhoe, our grader sit outside all year round. The sweeper we rent, it stays outside. It's not ours. I know we rent it, but still, I mean, I'd love to put it inside when we have to work on it. We have to take
Sure.
everything out. All the plows sit outside. Sanders are outside. And any kind of block, any equipment, anything out back, we have stuff up there. You're more than welcome to walk up there. But as for
I'd
the
like
building,
to go see that.
yeah. Well, we can walk up there.
So electrically, are you up to code in here?
Yes, this is the newer part.
Okay.
So the bottom part is from I believe the 30s,
Yeah.
and I believe this one was done in the 50s.
Okay.
So it's not horrible. We don't have we have a plug for the welder, which is right there. It's so we have certain things that we have to have, and the panels are newer, so they've changed those out over the years. But so again, our sanders sit on there. This is our fuel shed right here. So we have a fuel tank that's out here that we have to fill all our trucks in the middle of the night. We have to fill trucks.
Storing outside is
Where's your grader?
Around the corner on the back.
Oh, okay.
That one we can tuck away because we use it probably once a month, twice a month the most.
Yeah.
But this
That
one,
shouldn't be out there either.
no, exactly. No, they're expensive. They're a lot of money for these.
very expensive.
Yep.
Orange Street.
Yeah, Orange Street, and a few of the others. But
Berry Street
yeah,
Extension,
yeah,
twice a year and no more.
Ernie does a great job.
yes. Yeah,
That's the shed over
so
there.
that's the salt shed. So this is our salt shed, and then the old barn is up behind it.
Now, are all your materials here, like sand, gravel,
Yeah, so
mulch?
everything's, so we don't have bins for anything. All we do is pile it up against the back. As we walk this way, you'll see it.
Came with the place. Did you hear what he said? No. It came with the place.
Came with the barn, yeah, so they bought it from the neighbor. Somehow when they bought this piece, I guess the way they thought. So they bought all this piece where our pipe is up there. You see pipe, brick, catch basins. We have a couple of trucks that are ready to go. Our trench boxes sit outside, and 2 utility trailers that we have. And like I said, then that old barn up there, we use just like there's old barriers in there, some cones, some barrels. Same thing. Like I said, our gravel, our rock. But what their building used to be.
What?
Oh, it was a barn, legit.
So what's in that other?
So that's where the barrel, we keep some sawhorses, some old sawhorses. The floor's rotted out in a lot of spots, so we keep just some sawhorses, some other things. The roof is just a tin roof, so it always leaks and rattles, so we just keep minimal stuff in there right now. There's nothing down bottom. We've been cleaning up as time went on. There was a lot of stuff that's been sitting here for many years that We started
Yeah.
recycling, scrapping, getting rid of stuff.
So it's a wooden floor.
Yeah, it's a wooden floor. Yep, plywood floor.
What's that one
This
over
is the
there?
so that one we called it the condo, but that was actually at the dump. That was at the dump. A lot of time the bulldozer used to be in that over at the transfer station when it was a dump.
Yeah.
Literally, that's where they picked it up and brought it over here. So we have plow pistons that are in there that we keep in there. Our sidewalk tractor is stored in there right now. Different pieces of small equipment.
So basically, not only do you have the town garage,
Yeah.
but you have this one,
Yep,
and
3.
that one,
And yeah.
and that one.
Correct, and that Connex box that we use, that Connex box we use with lawnmowers, and that's
Yeah.
all our weed whackers, other equipment. Yep. So we use it all. Yeah. That's why when we asked for a building, we talked about size. It became so big, and it wasn't. Once you actually add these all in, you're like, wow, this is a big building compared to where we have the small building, and you see the small footprint. But once you take into consideration all these other buildings, then it gets bigger. It gets bigger quicker.
But you have all this land from that road to that.
Yeah, so I don't know the issue with there is some kind of right of way or easement between, and that's
Yeah.
not mine, but I know there's some kind of issue there. But yes, there is all this
But
this
all
here.
back here.
Yeah, it goes to that green fence and then comes back this way. Yep.
And
Yeah,
pretty good amount of space.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm amazed.
So, what would, and I asked this over there too.
Yeah.
What would be, what do you consider the best of this site, or what would you consider not a good
So
site?
this site to us is too close to Main Street. It's a nice site, it's perfect, but we don't mind being in the woods somewhere. Our guys come out, but we don't need to be right on Main Street. If the police department said they wanted this, and this was something, and we had a spot to get off the main road, that's fine. As long as we're close to this area, we have all our maps centered. So all our routes are tailored to our site. You start out, the guy leaves here, goes right, starts at Sander. The guy leaves here, goes left, starts at Sander. So all our routes are planned because this is pretty much the center of town. When you take into consideration you're going to High Street from here and you're going down to Davis Street at the end, we're pretty close to the center. So we have all our routes tailored to this area, whether it's the VFW, whether it's the mobile pipeline, anywhere. But to us, we don't have to be on Main Street. We don't need to be here and be in the public eye all the time. We don't mind that. We need a place where we can put the storage in the back, and this street sweepings can be there, and our gravel there, and our sand and stuff like that up against, in the back with bins. We don't need to have to be right on Main Street. Now, that being said, could we be here? Absolutely. We're not against being here, and we're not against staying here. It's, we've always been here. But I mean, if it's a better fit for someone else and we need to move off of this, that's fine.
Fencing it in to protect.
Fencing it in would be nice. That's exactly it. If we were out, say, and I'm just using this down past the soccer field where our pit is, that pit is down there, and if it was allowed, I know it's an aquifer, so I know it's probably questionable, but there's a gate. You can have a gate and just an office in the front, and then the big garage in the back. It doesn't have to be right up here on Main Street. We looked at buildings, and basically our building is an area for offices with a few offices and a meeting room, in the kitchen, break room, showers, and then it's just a big open building. That's it. It's not a huge dynamic to it. There's not a lot of smaller rooms and different areas. I think it's pretty simple for us.
So have you looked at any highway buildings?
Yep.
New versus some that have been?
Yeah. So we
while?
went to Charlton, and theirs was done, I want to say, probably 8 years ago now, and that was around $4 or $5 million when they did it. We went to Medway, theirs was $16 million, and it's beautiful, but they had configuration issues, so they never took into consideration that their ladder truck, because they have a mechanic's bay, couldn't make the swing to get into the garage, so they have to work on it out in front. But I mean, certain things, but they had wetlands, and they had to make it all work, and they had to turn the building a little bit. And, we've been to, I think it's Berlin, was the last one we went to, and it's nice, and I ask the guys every time we go, what do you like, what do you don't like? Because I want to know. I need to know that.
Sure.
And one of the guys is like, don't get this pattern for your doors. Don't come straight in here and out and have to park to the left or right, because, it becomes an issue when it's really icy out and when you're going in and out all the time. They told us a whole bunch of stuff. Some had good ventilation ideas, which we really liked, where it's basically they have sensors on them, and it senses the CO and it opens up the vents, and it doesn't have to do the whole building, so you're not losing all your heat. It's just each one that opens up because it senses it. So we had that. There was some that said that they were too small, like they got cut because of the financing. So their garage was sized this big and for the equipment, but then they ran out of money, so they cut it back. And he's like, no, now I still have 4 pieces of equipment sitting outside. You know, he didn't want, you know, but it's a new building, so they're happy to have a new building. But yeah, we went through a lot. We have a lot of details. I reached out to an engineer who did the Charlton building, and he put in a formula, and that's how we got, I think it came back with the square footage that they recommended, and that's what's in your proposal. I'm sure you've seen from the selectmen. That's where we got a lot of our numbers. So yeah, we've done a lot of homework. John and I have done a lot of, like, you know, a few field trips and a lot of
Good.
paperwork end of it. So
Good.
yeah, just in case it ever goes through, and we're hopeful. But yeah,
So the salt runs down the hill.
yeah. So yeah, as you
It
see,
stops
yeah,
there?
yeah, that's it. Yeah. So yeah, it stops there, builds up. We drag it back, get it back in. But I mean, that's yeah. So that's just what happens. You
Probably
know.
goes into that brook across the street.
Oh, there's been issues.
Now, yeah.
We weren't
Yeah.
supposed to say on video, but you can go ahead.
I mean, that's other things, like we have the MS4 stuff that we don't have a wash bay. You're not supposed to wash outside anymore. Those days are gone. Well, we don't have that option. We have to wash outside. Well, the trucks are going to rot salt. So
Yeah.
we're out here. It's 30 degrees out, and our guys are washing trucks right after a storm because we need to get them clean.
Sure.
But they don't want you to because you're, you know, dumping
Washing
it
the
outside.
salt
So we don't have. We want a wash bay, and we want to have the hot water, the pressure washer, and so it's all caught, and we can send it off the right way. It's all things we do want. And it's on a list, but we'll see.
Yes. Questions, anybody?
And in
Thank
case you ever wonder, the easement that we talk about is that paved space. So that the town, this property is burdened with that easement.
Yeah. Is that a road? Is that a road right there? It's just
The driveway.
The driveway. Yeah.
It's a right to pass and repass.
And the easement is that,
So, again, I said the same thing at the fire station. Think about what you've seen. Any questions, write them down, and you can always get them
Yeah.
to...
Absolutely. We'd be glad to answer anything you have, and if you want to come back on your own and want to take a second walkthrough, please come back. We don't mind. We're open door.
Thank you.
Absolutely, anytime.
Thank you.
It's very organized in there.
Yeah, we try. It's the only way to get things in. If you're not organized, it's not going to work. You know, that's how we are. So, but we've learned a lot of years, a lot of experience. Every guy who's here, Ernie and all of them, know kitty corner this, and you know they
Can
teach
fit
you.
that in.
That's it. We can fit this if we do this and that. It's worse in the winter. Like I said, once we put the sanders on, it's very tight. It's not a lot of room. The front plow, the plow frame's got a kitty corner behind this truck, and you know, but it works.
I forgot to mention when we were over there, the fire department, but you're on the fire department too. Some of the equipment is still at the cottage
Correct.
street.
Yep.
And in the future, there's talk of tearing it down. So again,
Yeah,
Plus,
you have,
actually, none of us talked about it, but there's a whole bunch of stuff at
Yeah,
the
there
old
is,
fire
yeah.
station
we
now.
have boats and our dive boats and everything that we have is down at Cottage Street. A lot of things, and a lot of things like there's
highway stuff is there too?
yeah, some highway. We have our hot box down there. We have our hot boxes there. We have our chipper down at Mobile Pipeline where the water sewer owns. We have our chipper in that garage, so we try to keep it indoors. It's brand new. We don't want it outside.
Yeah.
And we're trying to find ways to keep it in. I mean, you know, the police chief has his stuff. He's got trailers parked in, like, had some in Manchog at the mill, and he's got some, you know, we're trying to keep it inside. It doesn't take much, so.
so that again is something when things are being planned, that needs to be
Yeah.
included.
Yep.
Because
Yeah,
otherwise we're just kidding ourselves.
We gave a list of equipment to that engineer. He was very nice. He did it all for free. I called him and just asked him because he had a formula. He's like, we do this for a living. This is what we do. He said, send me all your equipment list and how many big trucks. He said, I don't care about the small ones because I always figure that in. But he said, send me all the big trucks and the big equipment, and I did. And he came back with this whole proposal and this whole thing about how big the building should be, you know, and then you can figure out the offices and how, you know, that stuff. But the building itself, you know, I mean, the figure was a little high. I mean, it was scary when we were thinking in our heads like Charlton was 4 million 8 years ago. Well, when it came back, I think 16 million. It legit was, that's what he had, and he's like, this is where it is, and I could show you. He's like, the increases over these years, how much it's jumped up, and that doesn't include, again, site plan, where it's going to be, all that stuff. If we move, that salt shed or our salt shed has to be rebuilt, and we actually we're supposed to have a sand shed. That's not supposed to be outside per our MS4 requirements.
Yeah.
But so there's things that we have to either add to, or if we move from here, then we're going to need new. So. There's a lot to it, you don't realize, but it's
Plus-
not, like Shirley's saying, it's not
plus
just
growth.
the building. Plus growth.
Yeah.
If you really want to plan for expansion. Yeah.
I mean, how many sites, new sites, and more people?
Yeah.
And more roads to plow and sand and,
Exactly.
New subdivisions come
Yeah.
every month.
Yeah.
yeah, right.
Yep. A lot to maintain, more catch basins that
Yeah.
fall under our MS4 jurisdiction that we have to maintain and clean, and that's where these piles are coming from. They're going this week. But again, these are supposed to be undercover somewhere.
Sure.
We're supposed to have little huts for the street sweepings and the catch basin cleanings to be
Do
under.
you have a street sweeper?
We don't, we rent that one.
Okay.
We rent that one, and that, honestly, like, the gentleman mostly leaves it here. I mean, he does. He doesn't even, it's seen better days. I'll just leave it at that. But
Yeah.
one day that will be an issue. But yeah, he leaves it for us, and he's great. His price is great, and it's just, we run it ourselves, and that's why.
Right.
Is that
Okay.
your chipper?
Nope, that's theirs. That comes with the tree company. They drop their equipment off.
Oh.
They're working. Yeah. Our chip is down, like I said, ours is down at Mobile Pipeline. It's too nice to be outside. It is. It's beautiful. And we don't want to see it ruined like that.
So what is happening with, other than your storage and with mobile pipeline site?
So yeah, I mean, that's the water department, so I don't know. We just have our storage down there. They have their storage there. And like I said, I don't know what else they keep there, but
So it's a garage, not
yeah,
about the size of the old part of this.
yeah.
And it has some overhead light cranes, pulley type arrangements, valves. There's a pipe rack outside. There's some hydrants in there, some tools.
Yeah.
There are some things that have been undisturbed from the day the pipeline was there.
Exactly.
And that's when you come in the driveway next to the Colonero's house, it's on the left. The building on the right is a loss at this point. The roof leaks, and it's a shame.
It was old offices, and they just let it go.
That
and-
brick building?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
They let it go, and they just never. You could smell the mold when you open the door. It's bad. Like, it's just that bad. But they let it go, and then they eventually sold it. I mean, I know the water department bought it for the buffer, and that's what they wanted for protection for land.
Sure, three-phase power all the way to the exterior. There's a transformer pad outside the brick building, which hums because there's
Yeah.
no load on it.
Exactly.
But it's still alive there. And there's a overhead barn there. You probably wouldn't need to use it.
No.
But it has a bigger pulley crane.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
how big is that site?
Oh, that's 150 acres?
Yeah, there's a lot.
150
Yeah.
acres?
There's a lot. It's a big land. I don't remember exactly, but it's a lot. It's a good amount, and that's why I said, again, I know the water sewer owner. It's not us, but
Yeah.
if we had to go there, then that again, it wouldn't hurt us at all. Like that's perfect. It's off the main road. It's still near where we consider the center of
So
town.
we kind of went halvesies on that.
Yeah, I don't know,
Town
and that's
went halvesies
exactly.
with the commission. So, it's not that you don't have a voice as town
Yeah.
government. You do.
Yeah.
Plus, they're a department of the town anyway. They can't
Yeah.
tell you what to do. It's vice versa.
But-
But they bought it primarily for the protection.
Correct.
So,
So then, protection. So then there would be restrictions, like
Yeah.
for the
Correct.
salt.
Aquifer. Yeah.
Exactly, correct. And that's what we run into, even down the VFW pit. That's in the aquifer, and that's where you shouldn't
Yeah.
have the salt. There'd be other, the harder requirements that we'd have to have.
So how much land is with the area with the pit?
You'd have to look it up.
that's a big lot as well.
It's
But
a
again,
decent-
there's
yes,
some
again, it's the aquifer
restrictions.
because the wells are right on the back side of that.
That's
So,
right.
and we have the VFW and the Brown House, and then you have the soccer field, which that ends up causing a little bit of problems because it's harder with our trucks going in and out. You hate to see, kids running around anywhere near any equipment. We don't
And
want
that used to, down in there, that was a nice site because there's water in there. It would be nice for town use and it's been a while since
Yeah.
I've been
More
down
for
there.
a car.
You get all
Yeah.
stumped.
They,
in that
well,
spot,
now,
right?
unfortunately, the beavers took over on the left side, wrecked everything on the left, and yeah, they finally flushed downstream, but it destroyed a lot of stuff. Just, we had to get them trapped. It was causing a flood over the roadway. And
Oh, I know.
it was bad.
They do.
Yeah, they did a lot of damage, but
Right.
well, thank you for
Okay.
coming. Anyone, like I said, anyone
Thank
stop by
you
again,
for your
anytime.
time, and
Yeah, appreciate it.
again, questions,
Yeah.
jot them down, and we'll get them to Adam or John.
Yeah.
The whole, yep.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
We're
you.
Have a
just
great
in
night.
the initial part
Yeah.
of, we have to make a recommendation to
Yeah,
the
perfect.
selectmen, but we've got a ways to go.
Yeah,
Next meeting is with the police department,
perfect.
and, all right, so, do I hear a motion to adjourn our?
So moved.
Second.
At what
Motion.
time?
Motion by Linda and seconded by Fred to adjourn the Building and Facilities Committee at
5:25.
5:25. Thank you, everybody.